On September 1st, 2023, I was laid off from my corporate job. I had just moved to Europe. I was completely alone, thousands and thousands of miles away from all my friends and all my family. And honestly, these 2 years of unemployment have been the most terrifying, but also the most transformative experiences of my life. I won't sugarcoat it at all. This was my rock bottom. Like, I was absolutely at bikini bottom, rock bottom, whatever you want to call it. Like, it was the worst thing ever. Depression hit me so hard that brushing my teeth felt like running a marathon. I gained weight. I doubted my worth. I hated myself. I hated life. I even wish that I wouldn't wake up the next day, to be honest with you. Like, I really just wish I didn't wake up. It was the darkest time of my life, and nothing that I've been through since or have ever been through has compared to how terrible the last 2 years of my life have been. But here's the thing about rock bottom: rock bottom has a way of teaching you lessons that nothing else really can. I started, learning about myself, self concept. But the first lesson that I learned was that, self concept really is everything. When I believed life loved me, it did. Life loved me and I loved it back. And it's so interesting to think about because I just had a friend who recently sent me some tweets that I posted during the most blissful, happiest moments of my life when I first came to Portugal on vacation. And I'll show them somewhere right here. And just how beautiful I felt life was. And when I believed that I was worthless, everything around me collapsed. I realized how much my identity was shaping my reality, like 100%. Lesson number two was that resourcefulness really does beat security. With no job, no safety net, I had no choice but to trust something bigger than me. Whether it's God, the universe, or spirit, whatever it is that you want to call it. I didn't know how things were going to work out, but somehow they always did, and they still have, and they still are working in my favor, and they're working out. And I wish I could tell you what it is that I'm doing that's making it work out, but I honestly don't know. I think it just really is the trust that I have. Lesson number three that I've learned in the last 2 years is that being broke is not a failure, whether it's being broken spiritually, broken financially, broke in any kind of way. It felt like a punishment at first, but really it was just like a preparation, stripping me down to the bones of who I really am so I could just rebuild stronger. Lesson number four, that it really is always going to be community over everything: community, friendships, relationships. I traveled to beautiful places, but I was alone. I was in Paris, and all I wished for was a friend, someone to share the experience of being in Paris with me, someone that I could joke around with and like just reflect on how beautiful life was together in a new place. But I was there by myself and I felt like crap. So like I couldn't do anything about it. And I realized that all the money in the world doesn't mean much if you don't have people to share it with. And even though I didn't have that much, just the fact that I wish so badly to have someone with me and not having anyone with me hurt. Lesson number five is that, delusion really does work. At my lowest, the only thing I had was belief. It was really the only thing I had. Belief somehow that I would make it. And honestly, the delusion is what kept me going, even when I didn't 100% believe in my own delusions and believing that things were going to get better, they somehow did. And again, that goes back to the faith. It goes back to how much faith I had in myself and everything that I had learned so far, and how life has shown me previously that, when I'm delusional and I pursue whatever it is that makes me happy, it always works out. So why would that be any different now? And looking back, the 2 years weren't really punishment. They were just preparation. They stripped away everything from my life that really wasn't in alignment. The job that destroyed my mental health, the people who weren't truly there for me, the version of myself that was living on autopilot, all gone. Just poof, disappeared. I was forced to really reevaluate who I really am, the kind of person that I want to be, the kind of life that I wanted to live, and the person that I was going to refuse being moving forward. Uh, and just having so much faith that whatever was coming next was going to be a million times better than whatever had just happened. And, at that time, it wasn't really hard because it was so shitty. For lack of a better word, like the last 2 years have been so bad to me that I was just like, well, what's coming next is going to be better. And now that I'm deciding to bet on myself and pursue the things that really do make me happy, the only thing that can happen from this is that it gets better. And I used to hate when I was really down bad and people would tell me it gets better, because at that time it really didn't feel like it was going to get better. Like, existing hurt. Like, I was so heartbroken and I was so depressed that I was put on antidepressants, I was put on beta blockers. And just because my body physically hurt from how heartbroken I was. And even now that I think back to that time and I realize that now my body and my heart and my mind and my spirit don't hurt as much as they once did, feels like a miracle to me. Because at that time, the person that I am now that can function did not feel like a real person. And it's so encouraging to find myself here, because I know that the only thing that can happen since being in rock bottom and being now where I am now is that I can only keep going up. And that just fills me with so much motivation. So that's what I've learned in the last 2 years of being unemployed and hitting rock bottom. So if you've ever felt broke, if you ever felt stuck, or if you feel like your world is falling apart, I hope that my story shows you in some way that you're not alone. Even if you might be physically alone, just know that you're not. I'm here and I've experienced something similar, maybe not 100%, but close enough that it gives you motivation to keep pushing forward. And if you want to see what comes after rock bottom and what comes after the worst 2 years of my life and follow my journey, subscribe and follow along and leave me comments and we can keep this conversation going, and we'll see what happens, because I have full faith that this is just the beginning of my new story, at least. And I hope that we can enjoy and continue the story together. A little heart, millennial heart. Okay, bye.